In India, we consider ourselves to be fortunate. We get most part of the country. India is a large country. Most part of the country gets more than 300 days of daylighting. If you look at the daylight potential, from minimum about 10 hours of daylight in the winter season to going up to 15 hours in summer season. So that's a lot of daylight we get and a good solar radiation. If you look at the traditional Indian buildings, we are one of the oldest civilizations on earth. If you look at the traditional Indian buildings, you will find a very, very fine example of how they harmonize with the nature. The buildings in India have always traditionally reflected the passion for the climate. The architecture always evolved accordingly. And in all of these designs, the focus was on daylighting. The climatic zones where the daylight is very harsh, you'll find the size of the openings on the building facade becoming smaller, and vice versa for the colder climate, which I'll show you. Now, this is a hot and dry climate, and you can see the sizes of the openings or the windows would be smaller. Going to the warm and humid climate where they just open up. Everything allows the natural air and the daylight to come in as much as possible. And going to the climate which is colder up in Himalayas, again the building architecture changes. Currently, we have cities which are highly populated because of the density of people. And some of the cities in India are going to take over as the most populous cities going forward. In fact, the Delhi, where I come from, which is the capital of India, is going to have close to about 40 million people by 2030. That is what is predicted. And it would be the most populous country, the most populous city in the world. Now, this urbanization, as I was saying earlier, means a lot of construction. 2001, the green building movement started in India with a humble, small building of 20,000 square feet, which is about 2,000 square meters. In India, here, we love to talk in FPS units and at times also talk in SI units. So in 2001, when we started our green building movement, we had just 2,000 square meter building to talk about. Today, 2 decades down the line, in 2022, there is close to 12 billion square feet of green building footprint which is registered. In terms of the number of buildings, in terms of the space, we are probably number one or number two in terms of the amount of green construction that is taking place. And that is in a way good. The circadian rhythm or the circadian lighting is a concept now which is fast catching up. The newer buildings are looking at these concepts because one understands the benefit of human-centric circadian lighting. It does help in better body aligning the body properly to the clock, to the earth clock, better sleep, better productivity. So this is something which in India is now becoming an area which is recognized by the designers and asked by the customers also. Going further, putting some shading devices which work very well in Indian context, and that's why in a lot of Indian buildings you'll find the shading devices being there. Once you put the shading devices, you do have the potential to eliminate glare to a larger extent. In fact, in this case, we could reduce it to completely. And look at the quality of daylighting on the floor. It's very uniformly daylit, and chances of people using blinds on the glazing is very, very little. In fact, we have examples of buildings here in India which talk about that you don't even need a blind on the windows to be put there. I would just end it by saying, of course, we don't want this to be our future. What you see on the right is not the way we want to go. There's just one planet we are on, and we need to save that planet. And India needs to do it responsibly with the number of people and because of the amount of construction that we are doing.